Hi, I'm Lauren of X Factor Filmmakers, and this is week 12 of my Reluctant Filmmaker vlog. First up is talking about X Factor Filmmakers, although only briefly, and then I'm going to talk a lot more about Sweet Desert Palm today. In just over a week, the almost entire X Factor Filmmakers team is going to Sundance. So we have myself, we have Greta, one of our co-founders and a producer of Sweet Desert Palm, our second producer of Sweet Desert Palm, Ashley Sneed, and our creator, our second creator, Mara Tasker. We're all going to be at Sundance. My dad is not going and our interns aren't going, unfortunately, but what we will be doing is doing a daily or bi-daily, if that's a word, or every other day, a video download of what we're seeing at Sundance, what we're doing at Sundance, what we're watching, what meetings we took, if we can talk about them, things like that, and just what the general sense is about movies that are going to come out next year based on things that happen at Sundance. So that'll be a really cool look immediately at what's going on. So we'll be probably recording them at the end of every day and posting them that night if we can get it edited and up in time, or the next day, the next morning. So look out for that. That's going to be super fun. We're going to be there from Friday the 23rd through Wednesday the 28th. We're excited. We're probably not going to sleep. Second order of business is talking about Sweet Desert Palm. Last week I talked about reading about Dear White People and Justin Simien, the writer and director of that movie's take on what to do for an indie film and marketing from the early stages, and really grasping on to what is the thing about your movie that will resonate with society right now. Women being bad is something that TV is really tackling right now, and I think that Gone Girl did it, for example, and that it's happening more and more in film, and it's what I'm really excited about, so that's what I've really latched on to. So I thought about how to describe Sweet Desert Palm going into Sundance, when I'm pitching the movie to people, and how to describe it even with you guys right now, given all of that sort of philosophy on how to talk about a movie in its early stages. And my description for Sweet Desert Palm now would go something like, it's a movie about a 16-year-old girl who lives in the desert, and in trying to defend the gravesite of her father, she ends up killing somebody and has to deal with the consequences of what that means. And those consequences are emotional, they're mental, they're psychological, and they're even represented physically by a character named Sienna. She's everything Noah doesn't want or need right now. Sienna knows things. She finds out things about Noah very quickly because she sees a lot of herself in that bad side of Noah. And she ends up embedding herself in Noah's life and learns her secrets very quickly. And she's not a very good role model. She's also very nosy. So that's generally what Sweet Desert Palm is like. That first sentence that I explained, that would be how I would open a statement to anybody about it, and then kind of see where the conversation goes from there, if they're interested or not. And by the way, Sienna is my favorite character, but I'd like to talk a little bit about Noah because she's the main character now. Okay, so who is Noah? Noah Green is her full name, and she's a little hard for me to talk about because she is very much like me. She is a 16-year-old girl, like I said. She's Caucasian. I want her to have blonde hair. Yes, I know this is sounding very much like me. For a very specific reason. And I want Noah to at first look like sort of the stereotypical picture of innocence, and her personality and what she literally does to butt up against that, basically, and to show that anybody's capable of anything, really. Kind of similar to Rosamund Pike's character in Gone Girl, Amazing Amy, quote unquote. Noah is a tomboy. She in the beginning of the film, lives alone with her father, who is not yet deceased. She lives alone on an oasis, which is a spring-fed pond that comes from the desert mountains nearby. And everything in the desert is vast and open. And then all of a sudden you've got this greenery and this water, which is just so rare in the middle of the desert, and all like hundreds of palm trees. And this is where Noah and her father live. His job is to basically take care of the oasis. It's a state-owned facility, and they do water testing there on the spring-fed pond and send it back to Los Angeles. And that's his job. So they're like in the middle of nowhere, basically, and he's homeschooling her. She's very smart. She's got a lot of common sense, and she likes to do things physically with her hands. She likes to fix things and figure things out. That's what a lot of his homeschooling is, a lot of very practical things. And she's very proud of doing things the right way. Like, she wants to learn and get better at things and make her father proud, because that's her basically feedback loop in life. I mean, there's other people in this remote town, but she doesn't go to school every day, and they don't just go hang out at the bars all the time and stuff. A lot of their time is spent with each other. So that's really where her moral compass and her whole personality really come from, is him. One of the things that they do together all the time is shoot guns, specifically a revolver that he has. And slowly over time, he has taught her how to use it properly, and she's gotten better and better at shooting, and it's something that she takes a lot of pride in. And so when he dies at the beginning of the film, that physical item, that revolver, is something that reminds her of him, and not only him, but their time spent together. It's just an object that represents the love that they have for each other. You can see how her clutching that, holding on to that memory and that physical object could be potentially dangerous if she's not dealing with, you know, her sorrow of losing her father very well, which she doesn't. That part of it, I mean, I didn't lose my father. He's one of my business partners in this company. But that part of Noah very much came from me, that fear of losing somebody so close to you, and how much of your personality comes from that person. That would scare me if he were to die. Then I think I don't really know how I would cope with it. And I don't know if I would do it very well. And that's really the basis of Noah, is when the thing that roots her to the world disappears, then what happens? What is the path that you end up taking? And so Noah's journey really becomes, does she continue on the path that her father was putting her on? You know, you try to be a good person, you try to be moral, but when that goes away, you have to hold yourself up if there's no support there left, right? And as a 16-year-old girl, what is she gonna do next? So Noah's a little bit more introverted than me. She's a little bit quieter. She's an observer first and foremost. She learns about her surroundings and the people around her really quickly before acting. Noah's problem, or her extreme fault, is basically this like gut reaction to something that she feels is so part of her being taken away. So her father, her pride, her home, that kind of thing. She doesn't want to, you know, face realities of her father being gone and her being alone. She doesn't like the idea of herself not being strong all the time. And you put a revolver in a girl's hand who's like that, and it's not going to be a good situation. So that's Noah. Hope you're not scared by her. But she's meant to be a very relatable character. You know, she's somebody who doesn't always do good, but she means well. And she's growing. You know, she's growing up before our eyes over this couple-month period of time that you see her in the film. I want to introduce you to a song. I've been listening to many songs, over 100 songs, in this playlist. That is my writing playlist. I end up collecting songs for Noah and for Sienna and some other major characters that I haven't even touched on today, that represent who they are, what they're going through. It really helps me sort of flesh out their characters as I'm listening to that music. So I wanted to introduce you to this one song today that really makes me think of Noah's inner struggle, called Harlem River by, Kevin Morby. Though we're in the desert, Noah lives on this oasis, as I said. So there's a spring-fed pond there, and a lot of what Noah looks for in life emotionally is represented with water. And the lyrics are, I'll read you some of them. Harlem River, talk to me. Tell me what you think about. Harlem River, I'm in love, 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 love. Harlem River, talk to me. Where are we heading now? Harlem River, swallow me. Put your hands around my neck. Harlem River, I can't breathe. You've got the lights down now. So for me, not just the way that this person sings the song, but the actual lyrics really represent what Noah is feeling, what she's going through. She's desperately searching for some representation of her father and her home and her past life, but she's completely lost in that search. And though she's not going anywhere, the journey isn't a physical one. She's going through a lot. She's going through an incredible journey emotionally. And so I just want you to listen to this song because I think it's so cool. I can just close my eyes and like be in her world. Okay, moving on from the serious stuff, we've got what I watched, what I consumed this week. First is The Imitation Game, about Alan Turing, the brilliant gay mathematician in Britain in World War II. He did a lot of things that we were not aware of. In the film, Benedict Cumberbatch plays Alan Turing, who's trying to break Enigma, the German encryption machine, with another machine. So he basically creates one of the first computers. From the story, it seems like nobody really believed in him. They all thought he was pretty crazy. Part of the reason was because he had very poor communication and social skills. And on top of that, poor guy, he was gay, and that was illegal. So he had all of these like secrets and social reasons why people didn't like him. And here he is trying to basically save a lot of lives. And Cumberbatch plays this brilliant character beautifully by both having him alienate everybody on screen, and basically while simultaneously making us feel more and more for him. So I loved his performance. It was just a really good movie all around. There's just so many things that were really great about it. And I believe this morning it was nominated for an Oscar. So definitely go and check that out. I learned a lot. Another movie I watched, a comedy called In the Loop. This is a British political satire that I found on Netflix that I've been wanting to see for a while, and it came up on my radar recently again. It's basically an ensemble piece. It's filmed very much like The Office, so you've got the sort of moving camera. It's a very, very long film, and by the time you get to the end, and sort of at some points in the middle, I was thinking, where is this going exactly? Like, what is the exact point of this? But I think I realized after thinking about it, that was the point. It seems like politics have this just sort of weird cyclical pattern where they just are obsessed with trying to make a name for themselves and get something done, whatever it is, not necessarily that it's something specific. You heard the term a bunch in there, I'm a career politician, which now a lot of us think it's kind of a negative thing when you say I'm a career politician. You're going, well, why are you doing this? Like, what are the things that you stand for? What is the voice that you have? And nobody, I'm telling you, nobody in this film had a voice. It was like everybody was there just to try to get something done to make a name for themselves at all, but there wasn't like a point behind anybody's reason for being there, basically. And though it was really long, I found myself laughing a lot. The British humor was just really, really fun. And at one point, they go to Washington, D.C. So these sort of like mid-level politicians get to go on a business trip over to Washington, D.C. And they're like really excited because this is the political capital of the world, is what they say. and they just get really excited to be like around the White House and stuff, but they have like no funding, and everyone's always trying to like seem bigger than they actually are and have more money than they actually do. So it's pretty funny. In the Loop, Netflix. Oh, I also forgot to say that I actually went on Reddit, which I'm starting to familiarize myself with, and saw an AMA and Ask Me Anything with Benedict Cumberbatch. They ask him all kinds of questions because he's got super fans, especially on Reddit. There's a whole subsection for super fans of Benedict Cumberbatch on Reddit. And I found that really awesome. So I was reading a lot of the questions and answers, and he's really generous with all of his answers, and he's pretty funny too. Very intelligent, very funny. So that was cool. I mean, you can Google Benedict Cumberbatch AMA Reddit, and I'm sure you'll be able to find the thread. It's really interesting. I guess a lot of actors and maybe filmmakers, directors and such, I'm not sure, are doing AMAs on Reddit in addition to, or I'm sure in some cases, instead of going on a tour to like the late night talk shows, because that's where they can communicate with their core followers, and they get a big like publicity push from that. So I thought that was pretty cool. The third movie I watched was Airplane, the 1980s classic. 1980 classic. It was made in 1980. Although it still feels very 70s. I've always wanted to see this movie and just for one reason or another never got to. So that was really fun. That's also on Netflix. And it's just the classic. You've probably heard the line, "I am serious and don't call me Shirley." It was actually one of the lines that I didn't laugh at because I'd heard the line so many times that I knew it was coming. But I laughed so many more other times from that film because it's completely ridiculous. And I turned it on with my mom, and then my dad came home and my brother came in, and they all ended up sitting down and watching it with us. And that doesn't happen very often. We're all like, oh yeah, this film, we all have to watch this film. This is great. And my brother and I were just thinking, they don't make comedies like this that feel like this anymore. What is that about? And then we realized that, oh no, they do. They're called YouTube videos. It's like Airplane feels like a bunch of individual, really strange, totally from left field jokes that are strung together with like this minor plot, basically. But all those jokes are so good and they get pushed so far that it felt more like sketch comedy and YouTube videos that people just randomly do. So that was really fun. Although I will say there was a lot of like racism and sexism in there that was kind of strange, that I couldn't tell if it was like supposed to be funny at the time or if it was really just because times were different and that was just racist and sexist and it was sort of just more accepted. So I'd like to hear somebody's take on that, maybe who watched it then and now. But other than that, really funny stuff. Airplane, Netflix. And then the last thing I want to share with you that I've been consuming this week is this little guy. This is a New York Times bestseller. It's a tiny little, basically self-help book kind of. It's called Steal Like an Artist, 10 Things Nobody Told You About Being Creative by Austin Kleon, I think is how you say his name. Basically, it's exactly what you think it is. Unlock your creativity. 1, steal like an artist. 2, don't wait until you know who you are to get started. Love that one. 3, write the book you want to read. 4, or make the movie you want to see. 4, use your hands. 5, side projects and hobbies are important. 6, the secret underlined. Do good work and share it with people. Right? That's what we're doing. 7, geography is no longer our master. The internet. 8, be nice, the world is a small town. True. 9, be boring, it's the only way to get work done. I don't necessarily agree with this. I get that, like, sometimes getting your work done won't be fun and you have to force yourself to do it. But be boring? This book isn't boring? I don't know. Creativity is subtraction. I also really like that. I just like the idea that we have all these ideas in our head and we're just trying to, and all these things around us, right? And we're just basically like pushing away all the crap until we get to this perfect idea. And then with that in our head, then we push away all the crap in our heads and write down little words on pieces of paper that then end up being something like a book or a movie. And it went from like the whole world down to like this narrow little thing. I like that idea a lot. But like it's all there, you just have to figure out how to harness it, basically. This is another thing I really like. Climb your own family tree. I don't believe in art. I believe in artists. This is a direct philosophy that we have at X Factor Filmmakers. This is actually a pretty good method for studying. If you try to devour the history of your discipline all at once, you'll choke. Instead, chew on one thinker, writer, artist, activist, role model you really love. Study everything there is to know about that thinker. Then find 3 people that thinker loved and find out everything about them. Repeat this as many times as you can. Climb up the tree as far as you can go. Once you build your tree, it's time to start your own branch. Although, I will say, follow 2, don't wait until you know you already get started. So you can still start your branch when you're not completely formed as a human, or else you're never going to get started. Seeing yourself as part of a creative lineage will help you feel less alone as you start making your own stuff. I hang pictures of my favorite artists in my studio. They're like friendly ghosts. I can almost feel them pushing me forward as I'm hunched over my desk. The great thing about dead or remote masters is that they can't refuse you as an apprentice. You can learn whatever you want from them. They left their lesson plans in their work. And this is a picture of his masters on his wall, or his family tree. I just thought that was cool. Like, I want to surround myself with Mary Shelley and Kubrick and Hitchcock. I need to take this advice because I need to finish Kubrick's work. I need to finish Hitchcock's work. Wes Anderson, I'm almost finished with. And there's this author, Gillian Flynn, writer of Gone Girl, who has 3 novels, and I've read one of them, and I need to read all 3 because she, you know, what she preaches on her website, like what she talks about, just directly speaks to me, and I totally understand it, so I need to go completely into that world. I would even love to interview her for X Factor someday. She's just got such an opinion on female characters and female characters being bad and why that's good for us. And I need more of that in my life. I'm actually today going to go to the bookstore and get, not Sharp Objects, the other one, Dark Places? What is it called? Whoa! Holy crap. Yep, it's Dark Places. Turns out they're already making a 2015 film, and Gillian Flynn is writing the screenplay with somebody else, I think. She also wrote it for Gone Girl, which I found so cool because it's not always easy to take a book and go to a screenplay, especially if you're the actual writer, because you have to see your own work in a completely different light and often destroy it in a lot of ways in order to make it work on screen. So I have a lot of respect for her. That's cool. They're already making a movie of it. So now I'm super pumped to go read it. So I'm going to go pick that up. Alright, now we have fashion time with Lauren. So, what I'm wearing today is this like golden, velvety, crinkled shirt that I got in the sale section in New York at an Urban Outfitters. And I'm wearing like semi-high-waisted faux leather pants with a cool like, seam down the front. I got these at H&M. This is a necklace that, if you see, the pendant is purple. And I got this at a Boston like flea market, basically, a Boston flea market called SOA. It had a gold chain and it was vintage from like the 70s or 80s or something like that, but it was just never bought or worn, so it still had like all the tags on it and stuff. And I just took it off of the gold chain and put it on this black chain. I don't know where I got it, but I've had it for a long time. And that's basically everything that I'm wearing. Fashion time? Over. And I just wanted to show you what I was seeing outside. It started snowing more and more as I was talking to you guys. Hi, I'm Lauren of X Factor Filmmakers, and this... Excuse me.